The silent room of Riverside Hospital. The ghosts they tried to hide. If you think you're alone right now, you're wrong. Subscribe while you still can. The footage surfaced online in early 2014. Grainy, unsteady, recorded by a group of urban explorers who claimed they had reached North Brother Island by boat at night. The camera shook as one of them whispered that they had found the room. A small windowless ward on the third floor of the old Riverside Hospital. The hallway leading to it was covered in peeling white paint, rusted bed frames, and yellowed medical charts scattered across the dust-covered floor. The air was heavy, thick in a way they said no one could prepare for. The moment the door opened, the sound changed. The soft wind outside vanished. The ambient hum of the island, the trees, the distant river, fell silent. One of the explorers whispered that it felt like the room was holding its breath. The walls were lined with empty bed spaces, the mattress frames bare. But in the center of the room sat a single hospital bed still made, with thin white sheets tucked tightly under its edges. Perfect. Untouched. Preserved, while everything else around it decayed. One of them muttered, "Someone was here." The camera focused closer. On the pillow was a deep indentation, as if a head had just been resting there moments before. The sheets were smooth. No dust. No sign of age. As though the bed had been used recently, although no one had legally stepped onto the island in decades. Then something happened. The camera did catch something subtle. A faint, raspy sound. Not a voice, but a breath. A slow inhale. Then, exhale. One of the explorers panicked and stumbled backward, their flashlight flickering across the room. The bed cover moved. Only slightly, but enough that everyone saw it. The video cut abruptly after that. 2 days later, one of the explorers UPO owed a final message to the forum where the footage first appeared. He wrote only 4 words, "We were not alone." Then his account disappeared. No one has heard from him since. The story of Riverside Hospital did not begin with urban explorers or internet rumors. It began more than a century earlier, when North Brother Island was chosen as a place to send people society did not know how to help. The sick, the contagious, the forgotten. The island sat in the East River, close enough to mainland New York to see it, but far enough away that those who were sent there rarely returned. Many patients arrived already weakened, frightened, and alone. Records from the early 1900s show entire families separated, letters unanswered, and personal belongings catalogued and stored in rooms that no one has entered in decades. At its height, Riverside Hospital was quiet, but not in a peaceful way. Nurses described long nights of muffled coughing echoing through the hallways and sudden stretches of complete stillness, where it felt like the building itself was aware of every breath inside it. Doctors worked until exhaustion, performing procedures in rooms where the windows never opened, and the air stood stale and unmoving. Some of the staff stayed on site for months at a time, isolated from their own families to prevent spreading infection. Over time, many reported emotional strain, nightmares, and a sense that the island changed people who lived on it too long. When the hospital shut down in the 1950s, it was done quickly. Beds were left made. Tables remained set with instruments. Cabinets still held patient journals and medical notes. No cleanup crews, no decommission process, just locked doors and a ferry that never came back. The island had become a sealed memory of everything that happened there. Years later, when rumors spread among hikers and urban explorers, some tried to reach the island by boat at night. They described stepping onto land where the trees grew thick around collapsing brick buildings, roots twisting into shattered windows and door fraw. Mez-like nature was trying to hide something. One explorer said the silence there felt different than anywhere else. It was not the silence of nature, but the silence of something that once listened and still might be listening. The same silence that surrounded the room with the untouched bed. And then, the first disappearance occurred. The disappearance was never officially recorded, but among urban exploration circles, everyone knew the story. His name was Daniel Mercer, 22. A student from Brooklyn who was fascinated by forgotten places and abandoned medical history. He had visited asylums, derelict schools, drained aqueduct tunnels. But North Brother Island was different. He had been planning the trip for months. He charted tides, studied boat patterns, timed security patrols on the shoreline. Daniel didn't go with a group. He went alone. He made the trip just before dawn. The air was gray-blue, the river calm, and mist clung low over the surface like smoke. When he reached the island, the hospital loomed through the haze. Its red brick covered in vines, windows broken like open mouths. He filmed himself walking into the lobby. Dust on the floor. Wheelchairs rusted in place. Paperwork still hanging on clipboards as if the shift had just ended. His voice was calm at first. Curious. Confident. That changed when he reached the 3rd floor. His breathing grew shaky on the recording. He said the air felt heavier there. He kept repeating that phrase. The air feels heavy. The air feels heavy. He walked toward the same hallway seen in the explorer's video. He whispered that he thought he heard something in the distance, like slow footsteps, not echoing, not distorted, just steady, soft, and measured. He called out a quiet, "Hello?" The footsteps stopped immediately. The camera turned toward the room at the end of the hall, the door slightly open, just enough to show darkness inside. Daniel hesitated, but the camera kept rolling. He stepped closer. His voice was only a whisper now. "If someone is in there, I'm just documenting the site. I'll leave." He pushed the door open. The bed was still made, perfectly. The sheets smooth, the pillow untouched. Except this time, there was something on the bed. A notebook. Small, leather-bound, the kind hospitals once gave to long-term patients to keep their thoughts. Daniel reached for it. The pages were filled in neat handwriting. Date after date. Entry after entry. And every entry ended the same way. "I don't want to be alone in this room." The camera shook. Daniel whispered something no one could ever quite make out. Then there was a sound. Soft. Slow. And steady. Breathing. But it wasn't his. The camera fell to the floor. The footage ended. Daniel never posted again. For weeks, no one knew what happened to Daniel. His friends thought he had gone on another exploration trip. His family believed he was staying with classmates, but the online community that had followed his urban expeditions grew uneasy. They knew Daniel always uploaded something, even a failed trip, even a blurry hallway. He always shared evidence. Then, one day, a new post appeared on his account. No words, no description, just a single screenshot. It was the first page of the journal he had found on the bed. The writing was small, controlled, almost formal. The date at the top was 1937. The author identified herself as a patient sent to Riverside Hospital for quarantine. She wrote about the ferry ride to the island, the fear of not knowing if she would ever return home, the way staff avoided touching her unless absolutely necessary. She described nights where coughing echoed from every room, building into something like a trembling chorus. She wrote about how the hospital felt different after sundown. Not louder, not more active, just watchful. As if the building itself was waiting for someone to notice something. Or someone. Her final entries grew shorter, disjointed, repetitive. She mentioned that most patients around her were leaving, either recovering enough to go home, or failing to wake up at all. The population of the ward dropped. The hallways emptied. The nurses spoke less. Then came the pages that unsettled everyone who saw them. She wrote that staff began closing unused rooms, locking them permanently. But one room, her room, remained open, even when all others were shut tight. She mentioned waking up and finding her bed made for her, perfectly tucked around her, as if someone had done it while she slept. She wrote that she sometimes heard breathing, low and close, when she was sure she was alone. She tried to tell the nurses. They told her isolation could play tricks on the mind. Her final sentence: "It waits in the quiet." The screenshot was the last post on Daniel's account. Hours later, the video of his exploration, once re-uploaded and shared hundreds of times, vanished. Links broken, files missing. Forums discussing it were quietly deleted. Not by users, but by moderators who never mentioned why. Because something else surfaced next. Someone else had gone to the island. Someone who claimed they found Daniel's backpack. Not far from the silent room, the person who found Daniel's backpack was not a thrill seeker or an explorer. He was a city maintenance worker performing inspections along the riverbank. The bag was wedged between rocks near the shoreline, damp but intact. Inside were Daniel's wallet, his phone, and the small leather journal. No signs of struggle, no scratches, no torn fabric. Just items set down carefully, almost deliberately. Authorities returned the backpack to Daniel's family, but they did not reopen a missing person investigation. With no evidence of foul play and no confirmed entry to the island, the case faded. What remained were questions, whispered in online spaces, shared late at night among people who still believed the video was real. The journal, however, did not disappear. Before the accounts were shut down, several viewers archived every page posted from the original screenshot batch. One detail stood out. The patient never wrote her name. No initials, no identity. Only the dates and the repeating fear that something watched her in the quiet. Researchers attempted to match handwriting to hospital records, but most files from North Brother Island were water damaged, lost to mold, or sealed indefinitely. What they did confirm was chilling. In 1937, a patient in long-term quarantine did vanish from Riverside Hospital without transfer or recorded burial. A nurse filed a single report noting the patient's bed was found perfectly made the morning after her disappearance. The pillow was indented, as if she had only just left. Decades later, urban explorers described the same thing. A bed untouched by dust, sheets smoothed, a pillow waiting. The island is now heavily restricted. Patrol boats circle the shoreline. Entry is considered trespassing. Yet sometimes, late at night, residents living along the river claim they see a faint light flicker on the third floor of Riverside Hospital, the same floor where the silent room is. No footsteps, no voices, just the soft glow of a light turning on, then off, as if someone is still there, still waiting, still breathing. To this day, no official explanation has ever been given. If this story disturbed you, remember, places are forgotten, but memories are not. Subscribe before the silence finds you next.